Hi, I'm Michael.
And I'm Cherise. This channel's all about personal branding and finance.
And we're helping young professionals like yourself to improve every single day.
That's the Akinle way.
So if you still want to get from here to here, make sure you subscribe and we'll help you get there.
And if you already knew all of that, welcome back.
Great. Welcome back, guys. And today we're going to be talking about how to create a job for yourself, right?
Yes.
You all have been crying out for it. You've been waiting for it. I've had so many messages telling me how I did it. Well, now I get to basically reveal my secret.
And we also promised it in the personal branding video, if you haven't seen that.
And I think it's super relevant today, especially because coming out of the lockdown, coming out of the crisis, we are in a recession, guys, so the job market is going to be a lot more saturated than it was. And competitive.
If you want to get in there, you got to get in there.
Yeah, and essentially I'm here to basically tell you how you stand out, really. Okay, so I think this video is going to be obviously of more talking than compared to Cherise, but she's obviously going to back me up on certain things and chiming on certain things that I say. I'm going to get straight into it, right? So, how do you create a job for yourself? I think the first thing you need to do is you need to have some kind of credibility, right? And I think you need to be really well versed in what you're doing, really well versed in your industry, in your job. So you need to know how to do your job pretty well, right? I think that's the first thing. Before I even made this video, I was speaking to Cherise about this topic and I was just really struggling to see how it would add value to people that have maybe much less strategic jobs or much less strategic roles than I do.
What do you mean by that?
I think it's just roles that add to the revenue organization, right? It's not an office administrator job or a receptionist job. It's a role that essentially has, some kind of impact on the revenue organization of any company you join.
Skill.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe like you're in marketing or you are in finance,
sales.
Or you're in sales, or what am I thinking? Like operations,
revenue growth,
IT as well,
engineering.
So yeah, there's loads of things. But if you're maybe like a receptionist and you're doing like a kind of a per hour job, this might not add as much value to you as if you were maybe like on a full-time salary and there was some kind of career progression and stuff like that. So I guess that's the first thing.
You are like in hospitality or administration and you want to pivot into something more technical, more high skill set kind of industry. If you want to go into a different industry, you can apply that too if you've learned all of those skills. Yeah,
so I will try my best to obviously teach you guys, no matter your walk of life, how essentially to create something out of nothing, right? So first of all, I think I need to tell you guys the story so you understand the context. So as in my last job, I was working I've been in tech for the last 2 years, coming 3 years. Wow, it feels like ages. In January 2020, I needed to move from my previous role to my new role. And then I found a company that was doing amazing things in the industry. It was basically a pioneer in this industry in terms of what the company was doing, and it was a computer software company, and the software that it was selling was pioneering, right? It was leading the industry, and it was the best in the industry.
How did you hear about it?
I heard about it because my colleagues were using the software quite a lot, so I knew there was something about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't actively looking, that's the honest truth. I was on LinkedIn, so I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn, and I think that a lot of you that are watching this video and you don't even have a LinkedIn page or you're not active on LinkedIn and you want a high salary, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, just putting it out there. If you're not active on LinkedIn, you're not building your network and you're not having conversations, but you're spending all that time on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Snapchat, I wouldn't consider you someone that's serious about life. Okay, just saying. My personal opinion.
You can build your personal brand on those platforms, but just make sure that your LinkedIn is active as well.
Okay. I was looking at LinkedIn and the senior executives on my current company posted things that suggested that they were expanding and they were hiring, right? So I decided to take a leap of faith. I sent a message to a senior executive at my current company. I said, hey, from what I've seen, you've posted this picture. It looks like you guys are hiring in the US because they're actually headquartered in the Bay Area. If you don't know what the Bay Area means, it's Silicon Valley. It's basically it's the tech hub of America, right? So yeah, I had messaged him and I was very clear. I was like, you know what, I can see that you're hiring, I can see that you guys are growing. What's the situation in Europe? What's the situation in MEA? If you don't know what MEA stands for, it's Europe, Middle East and Africa, so it basically covers my region, right? And he was like, yeah, thanks for getting in touch, Michael. We are hiring, we're looking for a particular kind of person right now, let's have a chat. So I obviously wrote back to him and said, okay, let's have a chat. He didn't get back to me. So I decided, you know what? I'm not going to wait. I'm going to look for the person that's already here in EMEA and building out the business here. I found the person that was building the business here. And
how did you find the person?
just LinkedIn. As I said,
just LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, you know, like
Is it from your network? Did you have to do some
no,
investigation?
you just have, okay, so you have something called titles.
Okay.
And anyone that's leading a business, an American business in EMEA, will be called director of something or managing director of company in question in Europe, in EMEA, in the UK.
Okay.
So that's what you do, right? That's how you search for it on LinkedIn. Also, I had to research how many people were in the company here in EMEA. I found out that when I reached out to the person that was leading the business here, there was only 2.
Oh.
Right, and
Two on LinkedIn or
2 in LinkedIn, and if
Oh.
they are if they're not on LinkedIn, it wouldn't make sense for them not to be on LinkedIn, because everyone that is
part of that company.
everyone that's a professional is on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. LinkedIn tells you everything. So I found out there was only 2, and I imagined that a company that is doing so well. I think I just put all the dots together. It was all about connecting dots, right? So the company is doing really well.
LinkedIn has dots that like start to connect, isn't it? Okay.
So it's all about connecting the dots. They're growing really well in the US. They have a massive customer base. They have some of the most well-known software businesses in the world on the customer list. They've just secured seed funding. They're hiring aggressively. So it makes sense that, you know, they would be doing the same in Europe, because obviously Europe is a huge market. EMEA is a huge market for any American company to invest. Every American company wants to come to EMEA to invest. It's a massive part of their growth plans, of their growth strategy anyway. So I found that there were only 2 people in the UK. I knew that they were going to be hiring. So here's what I did. I messaged the person that built out the business in the UK, and I said, hey, I know that you are going to be growing this business. I know that for a fact, because I know the potential in EMEA from my current job that I was in.
Okay.
Right? I know that you're going to be growing this business quite significantly. This is what I've been doing at my last company. This is the experience that I have, and this is the value that I can bring. So what did I do? I'll bullet point it. I personalized about the company. So what I knew about the company. So I knew the fact that I knew the company was growing, that they were hiring. It's important.
And you laid this all out.
I laid it all out. So I knew that the company was growing. I knew that the company just secured funding. I knew the senior executives in that company, so I did my research. I knew. Basically, I'll tell you one thing. The person, when he interviewed me, he said, I know more about the business than he thought that I would know. So how many of you go into interviews knowing more about the company than they expect you to know?
That's key.
Right? I portrayed that I knew about the business. I portrayed that I knew about him.
Okay.
And I portrayed that I knew what their plans were going to be, just simply from my experience in the industry and how it usually goes.
And was this bullet point form?
It was brief and bullet pointed, you know. And all I wanted to do was just get on the call, because I knew I could express myself better when I got on a call, right? So I just suggested, hey, let's get on the phone. He got back to me. We set up some time on the calendar. We spoke for about 50 minutes. I remember it was such a
5-0.
Yeah, 5-0. It was a really fruitful conversation. I could have spent more time, but essentially what that call was, my vision.
Oh, you dictated the conversation.
I dictated the conversation. So it was my vision. So essentially, I went into that call knowing exactly what needed to happen for the company in Europe to be successful, what the functions they needed to have and they needed to build out, and where I fit into that puzzle. And when I was able to portray that, it was a no-brainer.
So you told him, this is what you think the company needs, and this is your experience, and this is what you will do when you get into the company. Basically.
So I wrote something called a business plan, and think of it like a vision board, right? So I wrote a vision board for my company in EMEA and how I see it growing and expanding, and where I fit into that whole puzzle.
Wow.
Okay, so when I did that, we spoke for about 50 minutes. I understood what his plans were. I understood how he wanted to grow the business in EMEA. My biggest takeaway from that was, you know, for us not to limit ourselves, which was fantastic. I knew this was a business that was going to invest a lot in its people and was going to invest a lot in operations here in EMEA. And after that conversation, there was no headcount for me. And what that means...
so they were expanding, but not
for my role yet.
Not for your role.
They hadn't created my role yet.
There was no vacancy.
There was no vacancy for my role yet. No.
Wow.
So there was no vacancy for my role. There was no job description. Nothing. And I remember he even said at the end of our call, don't leave your job yet. Stay there, because we don't know when we're going to be able to create this vacancy. We don't know when there's going to be a headcount for someone like you. We left the call, and I just continued my job. I was like, okay, maybe in 3 months and 6 months, I would, we'll be having a conversation again. 24 hours later, the job was created.
Say that again?
24 hours later, the job was created for me. So essentially, after the conversation, he had written to senior management, senior executives within the company, and told them about me, what I could bring, my experience. From a call where there was no job for me, 24 hours later, I was CC'd into an email saying that headcount had been created for my role in Europe. So basically, to put it...
So you made a good impression then?
Well, I created a job for myself is what I did. So basically, I wrote my own job description.
Okay.
I wrote my own job description. Everything that I said in my interview is exactly what my job description was. And within a week, I had done 8 interviews and I was flying out to California.
8 interviews with who?
Everyone. Managers, reps, senior managers, senior leaders within the company. I've spoken to close to 6 to 8 people in that week. So, which was really, really cool, because obviously it's something that I'd never done before. But how can you apply this to your life? How can you apply this to you, right? So if you're someone that you're at a point whereby you've been at your company for, please don't do this if you've been in your company for 6 months, okay? There's, I might
think you're worth a lot?
No. I think you have to be really intelligent, because, a lot of you might think like Sharice just said here, where you think you're worth a lot and you want to be job hopping. That never looks good for you.
Okay.
That never ever looks good for you. So never think moving from place to place. After a year you move to another job. After a year you move to another job. After a year you move to another job. Yes, you do. But also, it's a question. It's a question mark on your head you're creating. If you're moving after every 3 months, after every 6 months, after every year, you can't keep a job for more than 6 months. You can't keep a job for after 9 months. You don't look any bit stable. And if I'm hiring you, I will ask you, why are you moving so much?
And then I'll tell you, this job wasn't a great fit because of this. That job wasn't a great fit
then
because of that.
Then I will ask you, why don't you do your research, and why don't you know what's a great fit for you or not?
I don't know until I go there.
And this is the thing, guys. When you're applying for a job, it's not just about the money. Okay, it's not just about the salary. You need to know everything about the company. Believe me, guys, I read as many articles as I could about my company that I'm currently working for.
How do you know about the work culture until you get there, though? That's one thing that usually
and that's why you have
people off.
That's why you have 8 interviews. And you ask questions, right? If work culture is a massive thing for you, you need to ask the people that work there, because they know what the work culture is. And you ask them to be honest, and you ask them to be sincere about it. Do you get what I mean? I'll tell you something about work culture, guys. If a company is growing aggressively, if they're, adding to their customer base, if they are a successful company, they probably have a good working culture. Simply because if you don't have a good working culture, people won't want to work for your company. That means you can't have the best talent. The best talent will go and work for another company. So you're not going to grow. So the company I'm currently working for, they were growing, they were doing super well. So again, comes back to the dots. These guys have good talent, they have good people, and they're hiring good people, because good people... The thing is, money... Alright, here's what I'm going to tell you something I learned. Money is just maybe 30% of why really good talent will decide to join the company.
Okay.
The rest comes with, do they offer maternity leave? Do they offer paternity leave? Do they pay in maternity leave? Do they pay in paternity leave? Do they give, 30 days holiday? How many days holiday do they offer? Do they offer medical care? Do they offer dental care? Do they offer some kind of insurance? Do they offer, free lunches? What is the work from home culture like? Is it flexible? These are things that make up the other maybe 70% of it. Believe me. Like, I don't go and work for a company because they pay me a significant amount of money. I look at all of the things I just listed out to you.
Yeah, because you're going to be there
for 2 years.
Life.
I tend to...
Okay, not your life.
Yeah, I tend to say, okay, a year after 2 years, I kind of tend to move on, which is the trend of my career so far, right? But if I'm going to go spend every single day with a business, right, I need to know that they've got my back. Yeah. I need to know that they can look after my family. I need to, like, my current company, this coronavirus has been such a blessing, right? They've not told, oh, Michael, we have to reduce your salary by X amount. They've not said, oh, Michael, we've had to furlough you. all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, I have my medical care, I have my dental care, I don't have to go to the NHS for nothing. Like, if I go to my GP, all I need to do is expense it. They pay for my travel to California, they pay for my hotel. Like, all of these things, like, it matters. It really matters. But since this whole thing is about, you know, how to create a job for yourself out of nowhere, is first of all, my first tip is you need to know your value. Mm-hmm. You need to know your value because...
Be confident in that.
And be confident in that. So
you can know it.
Yeah.
But...
if you're not confident in it, you know,
really
what's the point? Do you understand? You understand what I
Yeah.
mean? So you need to know your value, because when you know your value, is you can and you know how to communicate it well, you have a better chance.
Mm-hmm.
The second of all, when you know your value, you know how much you deserve to get paid, because you know what you're bringing to the table. Do you get what I mean? So that's the first thing, know your value. Second of all, know the company you want to work for and know everything from A to Z about them. Whether you're in tech, whether you're in property, whether you're in healthcare, whatever you're doing, right? Whatever you even want to do, know every single thing about them.
And how do you know? Is it just
Google? There's tabs at the top when you type in a search. Go to the news, learn what's going on with the product. Are they having a new product launch? Are they just hired a new person into leadership? You know, are they growing? Are they shrinking? You know, have they just got funding? Are they merging? Are they acquiring companies? Just build up your own synopsis of this company, right? Understand who the key players are. Understand who the hiring managers are. Understand who are the ones that own a team, because then you know who's the hiring manager.
So basically spend a lot of time on Google and LinkedIn.
It's LinkedIn. They're all on LinkedIn. I don't know if you don't have LinkedIn. I'm telling you, you're not serious about your life. You're not.
About your career.
About your career, about your life in general. Because essentially, your career has a massive impact on your life. Okay, that's just my opinion anyway. They're all on LinkedIn, so know who the senior managers are. If you know who the senior managers are, you know exactly who to influence. Okay. And go to their careers page. Right? Mm-hmm. Find out if, you know, in your region, in your country, in your state, wherever you're watching this video, are they hiring there? If they're hiring there,
usually makes you just walk away. Because I look in the company, if they're not hiring, if there's no vacancies in my area, because in Nottingham there's usually not anything there. So I'm just like, oh, they're not hiring, so I'll move on to another place.
So this is what I'm teaching you.
You're saying even if there's not any, even if there's not like vacancies there, or it doesn't say on the website, or we're hiring in the careers tab, still do research. There might be things
to shorten what she was just saying. I'm gonna tell you this, right? When a company wants to hire for a position, they don't post it straight away. It has to be approved, right? So if I'm a manager and I think, okay, I need headcount, I need one more person on my team or two more person on my team, right? That decision comes from the hiring manager first, because they understand the workload. Right? Okay. That comes from the hiring manager first, not the HR, not recruitment, from the manager first. So if you can already start to influence that decision at manager level, you have a much better chance. So you don't have to wait until you see a job on a job page. That's what recruitment does. That's what talent acquisition does. They're the ones that just post the jobs and go out looking. Right? That's what HR does, right? But you need to influence at a manager level. You need to find out who's the manager of the department or the manager of the team that you want to go into. That's the person you need to influence, not recruitment, not HR. Do you get what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because then when the manager said, okay, cool, I need two people, I need my director to approve this. Once that's approved, then it goes to HR, then it goes to recruitment, and then the manager then sits down with recruitment saying, this is the profile of the person that I'm looking for. This is the experience they need to have. This is the work culture. This is the culture they need to have. This is the personality they need to have. Then recruitment get into all the CVs and posting jobs out and stuff like that, right? But your business is not with HR, talent acquisition, or recruitment. It's with the manager.
Say that to them.
It's with the manager, okay? That's why you need to be on LinkedIn. Alright, and know this. You need to know this.
Develop relationships. Even if you don't feel like, oh, okay, I'm not going to be in a position of moving to another job anytime soon, but still develop those relationships, because that's going to give you more confidence to approach them, because not everybody's like Michael and be like, oh, I'm just going to find out who they are and then just going to start a conversation with them. Some people, like, you're a bit afraid to cold call or cold message anybody, but if you start to develop relationships with, okay, that company, I see they're doing great, let me start to develop a relationship with somebody in the department that I want to work for, and that should be much easier to segue into the conversation where, oh, are you hiring? Like, oh, you know, because you've already spoken about the kids and like their husband and that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I think building relationships is one thing. If you don't want to move immediately, you know, most professionals on there on LinkedIn also have their Twitter attached to their LinkedIn page. So go on the Twitter, connect with them on social media platform, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram. Have conversations with them. Take them out for coffee. Take them out for lunch.
I did that.
All of this helps.
Yeah.
Right? I guess that pretty much summarizes how I did this, right? It's not something like revolutionary, right? It's not revolutionary. You know why? Because the person that I did this to also did this to our CEO.
Wow.
None of my team actually applied for a job vacancy.
So it's not a new thing, guys.
It's not a new thing. It was a new thing for me, right? But how many of you are doing it? That's the question, right? How many of you are waiting for, a job vacancy to come out? How many of you are spending hours and hours on Reed, on Indeed, on CV Library, applying for jobs? How many of you are spending time on LinkedIn applying for jobs? Bloody message the people that you want to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I used to feel like, oh, you need to call out the company, but you get like, what's it called? When they're in the gate.
Gatekeeper.
Yeah, and you can't get anywhere. And by that time, it's already too late anyways, because you've seen the vacancy. The new way of navigating the job market is creating your own job.
The new way of navigating the job market is that, and also it's being proactive. Again, it's all about, if you want to move, you need to know your industry really well. Okay, so if you're in healthcare, if you're in finance, well, let's take finance for example, right? If you're in finance, you need to know whether you're in asset management, whether you're in hedge fund, whether you are, because there's loads of verticals in finance. You just need to know your industry. You need to know who the movers and shakers are. You need to know who's hiring. You need to know who's growing. You need to know who's not growing. What's out? You just need to be very well aware of this thing, especially if you're going to be on a job market soon. It really helps you to filter your decisions and filter your the choices that you make.
Yeah.
Okay,
then you're not a victim of anything. You're not being reactive. You're being very proactive. You're not waiting for somebody to say, we don't need you anymore. We're dismissing.
Oh, we don't have a job. Or that horrible email you get. Oh, sorry, it's with regret that. It's with regret that I can inform you that you've not been chosen. Like, I never had to deal with any of that. I will never do that again. I will never apply for a job again. It's just reality.
It's hurtful. You don't want to go through all of that. It's really.
I'll never apply for a job again. And the thing is, the more senior you become, the more your career depends on referrals. Senior executives don't apply for jobs. One is either they get a recruiter doing all the work for them, or they move around through referrals. I can tell you that's a fact. That is a fact.
They buy people out now.
I don't know.
Yeah, they do. They buy people out from their company. They'll be like, let's have a coffee, and then over coffee they'll be like, we need you, and we're gonna pay you this much and this much and this much, and they leave. Then they make a plan, and then they leave like 10 minutes later. 10 weeks later from the job.
She's describing a movie.
Okay.
Well, I don't think it's buying people out. I think that's a different term for what you're saying. But yeah, that does happen, right? But guys, really, I hope this makes sense. And for you guys that are in jobs that are not very, I guess, lucrative, a different way of approaching it. I think that one, it's more getting as much experience, learning new things within the company that you're in, making yourself a lot more diverse in terms of what you can do and what you can bring to the table, so that you can make that switch into something that's a lot more
skilled, specialized,
wanted, exactly.
And then when you're confident in those skills, you can go out
and less disposable. Basically.
Yeah.
I really hope that was useful to you guys. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure you subscribe, you like, a comment, and share. Yeah, Kinley Way. Go to our Instagram page as well. And yeah, we hope to take you guys on this journey with us. Bye.